The Grand Council chamber stretched 300 meters across, its crystalline walls reflecting the light of 1,000 worlds. Ambassador Threll of the Vaxian Collective adjusted his ceremonial robes and surveyed the gathering with satisfaction. 43 species had answered the call, each bringing their most precious cargo. The Next Generation Summit, Threll announced, his voice amplified through neural transmitters, will demonstrate the future of our alliance. Let us see what tomorrow holds. One by one, the delegations presented their young. The Vaxians brought their larvae in suspension pods, each floating in nutrient-rich gel behind transparent barriers. The children would not wake for another cycle, safely preserved until their neural pathways fully formed. The Corthan delegation wheeled in environmental chambers containing their spawn. The amphibious young floated in temperature-controlled water, monitored by 6 medical specialists. Any fluctuation could prove fatal to the delicate hatchlings. Ambassador Jera of the Luminari approached with her daughter cradled in an anti-gravity field. The child's bioluminescent organs had not yet developed their protective shielding. Direct contact with solid matter could rupture the fragile light sacs beneath her translucent skin. My daughter, Shervanna, Jera said softly. In 20 solar cycles, she will be ready to begin basic education. The pattern continued across species after species. Enclosed cribs, sterile environments, constant medical supervision. The young of the galaxy were treated as the precious, breakable treasures they were. Then the human delegation arrived. The chamber doors burst open with more force than necessary. Kalen strode in, and the assembled ambassadors collectively froze. The human wore standard diplomatic attire, but that was not what captured every eye in the room. Behind him padded 4 creatures. They moved on 4 legs, covered in mottled fur that ranged from tawny gold to deep brown. Each stood nearly waist-high to the human. Their eyes gleamed with sharp intelligence, tracking every movement in the chamber. Powerful jaws hung slightly open, revealing teeth designed for tearing meat. Muscles rippled beneath their coats as they walked with the fluid grace of apex predators. Ancestors preserve us, someone whispered. The creatures wore no restraints. No force fields contained them. No handlers guided them. They simply followed Kalen, occasionally bumping against his legs or looking up at him with what appeared to be affection. Ambassador Threll felt his respiratory organs constrict. Human Kalen, he managed. What are those animals? These. Kalen looked down with obvious fondness. These are hunting cubs. We call them dogs. This is Vash and his siblings. Hunting cubs, Threll repeated weakly. You brought predators to a summit about children. Well, yeah. Kalen seemed genuinely confused by the concern. You asked us to bring the next generation. On Earth, we raise our young alongside companions like these. A Corthan medical specialist pulled up a holographic scanner, her hands trembling. The readings, those jaws could generate over 300 pounds of pressure per square inch. Their sense of smell is 10,000 times more sensitive than most species present. They are designed to track and kill prey. Sure, Kalen agreed. Dogs evolved from wolves, pack hunters. But humans domesticated them over 40,000 years ago. Now they're part of our families. Part of your families. Jera clutched her anti-gravity controls tighter, pulling her daughter's field higher. Those are weapons. Kalen's expression shifted from confusion to understanding, then to something that might have been amusement. Oh, I see the problem. You think they're dangerous. They are dangerous, Threll insisted. To threats, sure. Kalen knelt down, and the 4 dogs immediately clustered around him. He ran his hands through their fur without hesitation, and the creatures leaned into his touch. One of them, Vash, licked Kalen's face with a tongue that could have easily torn flesh. The human laughed. To family? Never. He stood and gestured to the assembled delegations. Look around this room. You've all brought your young in sealed containers, medical pods, and protective fields. You treat your children like they might shatter at any moment. Because they will, a Vaxian biologist interjected. Young are fragile. This is universal biology. Not on Earth. Kalen's voice carried across the chamber. Human children are born helpless, that's true. But we don't seal them away. We expose them to the world. Let me show you something. He pulled out a holographic projector. The image showed a human dwelling with a large outdoor space. A small human child, barely able to walk, toddled across green grass. And beside the child walked a massive dog, easily 3 times the size of the ones in the chamber. The assembled ambassadors watched in horror as the child fell. Before anyone could react, the enormous predator moved. Its jaws opened, and several delegates gasped. But the dog simply nuzzled the child back to its feet with its nose, then stood beside it, providing support for the child to lean against. "That's my nephew with our family dog, Thor," Kalen explained. "Thor weighs 90 kilograms. He could kill that child in seconds. But he won't, because that child is part of his pack. Dogs don't just tolerate human young, they protect them." Another image appeared. A human infant sleeping, its tiny fist clutched in the fur of a dog curled protectively around it. "We trust apex predators with our most vulnerable," Kalen continued, "because we taught them to be part of our families, and they taught us to be part of theirs." "But accidents," Threll began. "Happen, yes. Very rarely." Kalen's expression grew serious. "But here's what you need to understand about humans. We're from a death world. Everything on Earth evolved to survive in a hostile environment. Our children need to be tough because our planet demands it. So we don't protect them from the world. We prepare them for it." Vash chose that moment to yawn, displaying a mouth full of sharp teeth. Then he sat down and scratched behind his ear with his hind leg, looking utterly unthreatening. "These dogs," Kalen said, "are just the beginning. Human children grow up climbing trees that could kill them if they fell. They swim in oceans with actual predators. They run, jump, fall, get hurt, and get back up. By the time they're teenagers, they can survive in environments that would kill most species in this room." He looked directly at Threll. "You asked to see our next generation. This is our next generation. Not just the human children, but the bonds we forge with other species. The partnerships we build with creatures that could be dangerous, but choose not to be because we choose to be family." A long silence filled the chamber. Finally, a small voice spoke. May I touch one?" It was Shervanna, the Luminari child. Her mother looked horrified, but the girl had somehow lowered her anti-gravity field and was drifting closer to Vash. Kalen smiled. "Vash? Be gentle, buddy." The dog sat perfectly still as the bioluminescent child approached. She extended one translucent hand and touched his fur. Vash's tail wagged slowly, creating a gentle breeze that made the child's light organs flicker with what appeared to be delight. "He's warm," Shervanna whispered, "and soft, and his heartbeat is so strong." Other delegates began to murmur. A few moved closer, curiosity overcoming fear. Threll watched as the humans, hunting cubs, transformed from terrifying predators into gentle ambassadors. The dogs seemed to understand that these beings were fragile, and they moved with careful precision around them. "Ambassador Kalen," Threll said quietly, "I believe we have much to learn from humanity." Kalen grinned. "And we have much to learn from all of you. That's why we're here, right? To build a future together." He looked down at Vash, who had managed to collect admirers from 3 different species, all marveling at the creature that represented both danger and devotion in equal measure. "Besides," Kalen added, "wait until you meet our cats. Now those are the real apex predators in human homes." The nervous laughter that followed suggested the galaxy was not quite ready for that revelation. But as delegates began to cautiously interact with the dogs, as children in protective fields expressed wonder at these living creatures, something shifted in the Grand Council chamber. The future, it seemed, would be shaped not by those who hid their young away from danger, but by those who taught their young to walk alongside it. And at the center of it all sat Vash, accepting gentle pets from a dozen species, his tail wagging in contentment, utterly unaware that he had just changed the course of galactic history.